Check, 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 check. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. All right. I am going to dial the weight bot down here for just a minute. And since there's nobody in here, well, look at that. Dr. Jasmine Berry is here. Hello, Jazz. Hopefully, I'm sounding kind of tinny to myself. I'm not sure why, so I will try to check that out. But Hillary is running a few minutes late, so the good news is if you're listening to this on replay, you're not hearing this because I will have trimmed it off, hopefully. But Jazz, we will be starting in just a couple of minutes, hopefully. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to do a little audio check because, as I said, I sound a little tinny. We're going to go with that preset, broadcast preset, and hope that works. These ear air pods need to go back to the folks at Apple because they have not been working right. So, Jazz, if you can hear me and you can give me some kind of sign, if my voice sounds pretty good, kind of deep and awesome, let me know. Oh, I suppose I could throw on the... I could throw on the cans. And let's see. Oh, well, okay, hold on. I thought that might work with these on, but hang on. Now, how does that sound? All right, I can't quite hear myself. Hold on. Is that better? Oh, there. Yeah. Okay, we should be sounding fine. It's just the AirPods, and I like hearing myself better than not. So I guess we're gonna have to wear the big old cans tonight. And I'm not a what would it be, a millennial or one? I'm not one of those dudes that wears a hat because he's embarrassed he's bald. I'm one of those dudes that's wearing a hat because it's 23 degrees here in Chicago. Johnny Invisible, great to see you, my friend. It is 23 degrees here in Chicago, and we keep the temperature a mighty low in the house because gas prices are insane right now. Insane right now. And you know what? I'm going to blame everybody, but I'm going to blame, Trump and Bush and Biden and greed, because it's just greed. That's what this, capitalism and greed. That's what's driving up all these prices. $8.50 for a box of cereal. That's greed, not inflation. But as we're waiting for Hillary, as I said, if you're listening to this on the replay, you will not have heard any of this because we will start the show as soon as Hillary gets here. But for those two of you that are listening, we do have a show tomorrow night. Hopefully, I have not actually been able to solidify my guests, but we may go without guests, called So Far This Week in the Chai, or Shy, as I have also heard it spoken of as, which is ostensibly a show about Chicago. And it's also a show about urban America a little bit, and the urban life, the city life. You are my wife. Goodbye, city life. You know this one, Johnny? Keep Manhattan and give me that countryside. All right. All right. There we go. Johnny's old enough. I won't do the Ava Gabor part. I'm bad enough with whatever that guy's name is. The guest tonight is Hillary Lauer, and she is a painter, and she was on my original live streaming platform. Well, okay, I was on Periscope before that. But that live streaming platform was called Haps, and Haps is gone. So she actually reached out to me fairly recently and said, "Hey, what's going on? I'd love to be on the show again." I'm like, "Hey, that's cool. I would love to have you." She was a fun guest. We had a good time. I love artists and painters for sure. We need to have GP whatever it is 3 here to do an interview with us. All right, let me see. Find Hillary on Instagram at Hillmatic, I think. Yep. HIL _ Alrighty. Hopefully she was on the, hopefully she'll be right with us. She was on the phone or a Zoom call or something with a client. And I got to tell you, making money's got to take precedence to this. And boy, the two of you have just stuck it out. All right, she's headed over to the app. So hold on, let's see. And the dramatic music, I realized I reformatted the deck over here, so I did not have the dramatic music. I don't even know if you guys could hear that music the way that I have this wired right now, but hopefully we will see Hillmatic hop in here in just another couple of minutes. It is 9:10 here in the frozen Midwest. Oh, look at this. I have 4 messages. Oh, one from my boo. That's always good. All right, we're still waiting, and hey, you know what? That reminds me of my first. It was my first CD purchase. It had the song "I've Been Waiting" by Foreigner on it. My God. And I think if I remember right, it was $15, which in 1985 probably would have been a lot more than $15 today. In fact, there she is. I would imagine an album at that point was somewhere around $7.99 or something like that. All right. Oh, yay. Our friends hey, how are you?
Wait, I
Take your
can't. Hold
time.
on. There you are.
Yeah, take your time. No worries.
Okay,
I've
cool.
got I've got to adjust my camera here a little bit.
Okay. Let me see. Is there a link that I can share this
Yeah.
with?
The let's see. Do we? Let me figure out which direction. I'm supposed to be looking at the camera. Oh, okay. Turn it over this way. Actually, I want to be kind of make it look like I'm looking at you.
I'm still here.
Yeah, no worries. Let me see. Let me go. I was just sending the link out. It should still be in paste form. Nope. Let me just get it. Doctor, sent it to Jazz down there, and a few friends online. Let's see. Didn't I? Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, I'll send this to you right now.
Cool.
And we'll start here in just a second because the good news is I can chop off the front end of this
Oh yeah.
for the rebroadcast. So, and just point out thanks to I love Fireside and really love this platform. But hold on, I'm gonna really have to move my camera. Hang on. Okay. Now, just move over this way a little bit. That's not too bad. Yay. All right. I forget what part of the world you're in.
Denver.
Oh, so, usually in Denver, it's like 90 below in Chicago and it's like 80 degrees. You always get those warm winter days sometimes there.
Yeah, we actually do. It's a lot more mild than people think it is. It's not that snowy in the city. It's like it snows in the mountains more, but are you vaping?
Yes. We won't say what, but yes.
Nice. Hopefully not the devil's lettuce.
Oh, well, it's like a Boston lettuce, I think. Yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
rather refined.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see here. All right, I think we're ready to go. We'll do a little intro and we'll get rolling. I'm very excited. It has been a while. The last time we were on here, we were on Haps, and that has been a while. So I'm excited to catch up.
Yeah,
And
me too.
all right, here we go. We're gonna go in like 3, 2, 1. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. My name is Revolution McInnes, and I am coming to you live, barely, because it's freezing here, 23 degrees in Chicago, Illinois, the Windy City. Ask me why it's windy, and I will tell you it's not because it's windy. Google it, everybody. It is not the Windy City because it's windy here. I am super stoked and lucky to have an amazing artist. And I got to tell you, one of the things I love about my job is I get to meet great people and become friends with them and watch them grow and just, be a part of what they're doing. So this is really fun because you were on in the early days with me at Haps, and here we are again. So introduce yourself and, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Hey, what's up? It's good to see you again too. Yeah, it's been like what, a year now?
Probably about a year.
Yeah, crazy. So much has happened since then. But I'm Hillary. I'm an artist. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio,
The
and
Cleve.
The Cleve, the mistake by the lake.
The mistake by the lake. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's there
Yeah.
used to be a lot of good sayings around the fire river burning there too.
Oh yeah, it actually did catch on fire. But we won't go there right now. Um, but yeah, I live in Denver. I'm an artist and recently a muralist, which we'll probably talk about later. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm a professional artist. I do mostly impressionist portraits. I love drawing people, painting
very good
people.
ones, by the way.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, but I do it all, but mostly like my passion is in portraits. I love just capturing the human form and emotion and really like speaking to people through that. So yeah, that's what I love to do. I've loved it since a young age. I'm self-taught. Yeah, but I've been just grinding away in my studio in Denver. Also doing murals out in California the past year. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Well, that is awesome. You said you grew up in Cleveland. The only other Cleveland is always my. It's like the gateway to the east. When you go through Cleveland, when you're coming like from Chicago, whatever that main interstate is, once you get east of Cleveland, there's like a rock cut and like a little bridge or something, and that's the spot that I demark as okay. Once I go under that bridge, I'm in the east, headed to the East Coast, because Cleveland's very much like an Eastern city. It doesn't
Yeah,
feel like a Midwestern city. It feels like an Eastern city. It's like the beginning
totally.
of the East, even though it's a little west of probably the proper East part of the U.S.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's actually it's part of the Western Reserve, or at least where I'm from in Cleveland. And a lot of the towns in Connecticut are in the Western Reserve as well. So all the
Ah,
times that when I went to visit Greenwich, that township was very similar to where I grew up. It looked exactly like the same layout, the same structure. Like the town structure was
so
very similar.
very
So
much similar. Oh, that's very neat. Yeah, and we used to live just a rock, hop, skip, and a jump from Connecticut when we lived in Westchester County. So Connecticut is a very fun place. But what influenced you? Because like I sold my first photo when I was 15, so I guess ostensibly I've been a photographer for 41 years or something like that. But periods on and off of doing it professionally and making money doing it. But the one thing that I never really liked doing, and it is different in photography, was portraits, because in at least in portrait photography, you've got to get the subject to kind of evoke the feeling that you need the camera to deliver. But in a painted portrait, you can obviously have someone do a sitting, or you can do it from a photo, from memory, or whatever. But you can kind of evoke the mood or the spirit of the person. And I wonder, how much do you think you imbue your spirit into that versus their spirit into it? And I just saw that portrait by Erica that you have of Erica Badu, who I think I told you was the second famous
yeah,
person to follow me on Twitter like so many years ago.
so
Uh,
cool.
and I love that. But yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I did that. That was a commission portrait by my friend. Uh, Michelle Delgado is a good friend of mine in Denver, and she commissioned me to do that portrait. It's a 36 by 36. Yeah, it's
That's a pretty good size
reminding me that I
portrait.
interview. But yeah, I mostly do large portraits, and my mentor was the one who told me to do larger pieces because I had started doing, teeny tiny work. So they were good and it looked cool online, but in person, you're like, I don't know, it doesn't really capture your attention.
Yeah,
So
you
then,
need to be you need to be a little overwhelmed by the whole thing, right? I mean, a portrait
yeah,
like that, a painting tends to be larger than life. I mean, even if you see a Rothko or live, those things are pretty big. Of course, so many artists, and it's gotten cheaper in so many ways, but and I don't even know if you stretch your own canvas anymore if people have to do that. But so many artists used to go small because they couldn't afford,
oh, totally.
a big piece of canvas and to use it. So that the money was an issue too.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And I was actually I listen to Jerry Saltz a lot. He's an art critic. And he was saying the other day, like, there aren't any excuses. Like, money is an excuse. It's not, you have to find something in your house or in your garage or in a junkyard. There's always a way. And I've always stuck by that. Like, I actually often paint on pieces of cardboard, like giant
Uh
cardboard
huh.
boxes, because I also like the way that the paint, like the pigment comes out on the cardboard. It
On the
just
cardboard box. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, there's always, and that actually makes it more art to me, at least. It's there's more of a story behind it. Like
Right. But slapping some white gesso on the canvas is what everybody does, right? But if you
so
can,
the fancies, they want it their way, and they can have it
right.
if they pay for it. But when you want to create and you don't have the means to do it, there's always a way to do it.
Oh, I like that too because I think you do see people painting on pieces of wood, but I also think what I love about doing these interviews too is that idea that a piece of cardboard may respond differently than a canvas and gesso or something like that, and it's gonna grip differently, it's gonna form differently, it's gonna dry differently. You're painting with oil. I'm
Oh no, I
or
do both.
acrylic.
Mostly acrylic, but I do oil paintings as well. Yeah.
I would think that acrylic would definitely be better suited for the cardboard than the oil.
I actually haven't tried oil on cardboard, so I'll let you know how that
Yeah,
goes.
that would be cool. That would be cool. Well, the paints even are so much better today with technology, the
But yeah.
pigments and everything. You know what I mean? And I'm sure, I mean, and again, I remember too from a lot of my painters friends from again, good Lord, decades ago when I was in art school was, certain paints that, needed like iridium in them or something to get their blue
Yeah,
would be more expensive and stuff like that too.
yeah, totally. And it's also very toxic. Like oil paint is
Yeah.
like I didn't even know this. So when I first started oil painting, because I'm self-taught, I was like, I'm gonna try oils today. Why not? And I'm so used to being like I always have paint like all over me when I paint. I use my hand, I use whatever, and I'm like rubbing it in with my hands, and I'm like, why is my when I use this certain red color, it like makes me itchy. I'm like getting a rash.
Right.
And like it was actually a clubhouse room where I was telling people this. They're like, "What? Do not." They're like, people wear masks and rubber gloves when they paint with oils. Do not be rubbing it in with your hands.
Why am
And
I vomiting while I'm painting?
yeah, I'm like sitting there with like oil and paint rash on me. Like people actually die of oil paint poisoning, but yeah, that's
Well,
the
definitely don't paint with any lead anytime soon.
yeah.
But white paint, I mean, and still does. I'm sure you can get white paint with lead in it because there's a certain, characteristic of white lead paint that that somebody may want to use. I guess you got to put a warning label on there. Don't lick this expensive oil painting, kids.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to do your art? Did you have a tendency to just start drawing when you were young, or did you see something? What exposed you to becoming a portraitist, blah, something like that? And then we
I
can
know
talk
you
about muralist, a portrait
Por-
artist. We'll just say
yeah, I don't know
portraitist
either. I don't
because
know.
there's muralist, but portraitist, I guess, isn't a thing.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't know what truly like inspired me, and I don't really know like at what point something really. I wish there was like this grand story where I was just very inspired and started from there. But it was a slow build, honestly. It was something I always loved to do and was never like amazing at, but I just kept doing it because
Mm.
it was like a way of expressing that I just like I've always liked to express myself and communicate through art or writing or music. I'm empathetic. I'm a super empath and like I like really I feel extra hard, So I'm like
Hmm.
I want to get that out
Oh God,
there.
we both have that sickness, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, right. It's just like I want to speak to people. I want to communicate what's going on and connect. And
You
I always
need
have
that energy, right?
whatever way. Yeah, it's not always just painting. Like that's just like one of the extremities of that. Um, but it's always just been a thing. And then it happened to be the thing that people resonated with, which I never dreamed that people would want to buy my work. So that was cool when that became a thing.
Do you remember the first piece you sold?
Yes, I do. It was crazy. It was so cheap. My first piece was to my parents' friend Art Merriman. It was for I think like $30, and it's still like it's one of my favorite pieces. And it's of this guy Paul Jason Klein. He's in a band called Laney, and he's such a gorgeous. He has like a great bone structure. He just has all these amazing photos, and I drew this with like paint pens, and yeah, he bought it, and it's like framed in his house, and he's bought a bunch of work of mine,
Nice.
so
Nice, nice.
like a couple oil paintings and stuff. So
Kind of a patron that way, right? Those are nice to come along, the people that like your work and continue to buy it.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, the satisfied customers that come back, it's nice.
I like that first story of selling a piece and the the memories, and that's one of your favorite pieces. And I also like that you said that I heard you say you weren't very good at it, and I would imagine, and obviously you hear and can speak for yourself, but practice, continuing to paint and learning more, seeing other things, experiencing other mediums, and all of that, and that discipline got you better because your paintings are fantastic, and you worked. It sounds like you worked for it. You didn't just wake up one day and start painting like Picasso or something. You had to earn your stripes a little bit.
Oh, for sure, and I still am, and I think that's like kind of the mentality you need to be successful in anything. If you love something, it just like it's always if you love it that much, it's worth it to you, and you're gonna figure out how to do it. Um, yeah, like it's definitely it's been a grind, and it always is, and any artist will tell you that at any level. Like there's always like the next step. You always have this kind of like, oh, but I could be this, and you're always
Right.
looking ahead of you. So yeah, it's a humbling experience being an artist for sure.
I have my friend Jenny Valles, who I've had on several times. She's a really great Chicago, artist and Chicago artist here, and she actually is a muralist as well. But we've definitely talked at times about the because if I remember right, I'm quite sure she's self taught as well. The journey to where she ended up and the kind of painting that she did and the experimentation and I probably told this story before, but I was in front of a Barnard Newman when I was about 21, probably on a date at the Chicago Art Institute because I definitely was talking to somebody, Eric, because I needed that person there to be able to have, to have this experience in the sense of, I looked at this painting, which is, if to my mind, I should look the piece up, but it's probably just like maybe red, black, and gray. It's maybe 36 inches tall, and even in the frame, it's probably not much more than 6 inches wide. It's just a very narrow piece of canvas, abstract and minimally abstract. And, I turned to whoever I was with and I said, well, gosh, like I could do that. Right. And then they
So we can
didn't,
always do that.
right. And of course, they didn't have a response that evoked where I needed to go with it. But then as I started to look around at things, I'm like, well, wait a minute. Yes, I might be able to do that, but I didn't, and
I
it's on a fucking
didn't.
wall in one of the best museums in the world. So
Yeah.
why is it there? And so then I spent a good deal of time, learning about art, and was lucky too. Not that many years later, with my first wife, my father-in-law, who's ex-father-in-law, who's just one of those super IQ guys, just knows, I know a little about a lot. He knows a lot about a lot. And, and he had his painting phase where he was into paintings. And so then he really took me on a journey of understanding art. And so the same way, actually, with classical music, he took me to that same place. So to know a Caravaggio or a Picasso or or a Manet or a Monet or, any of these other artists, to know contemporary art, especially if you don't have that historic roots of the understanding of art, sometimes it might not quite make sense. Because again, when he then introduced me to contemporary art, I'm like, fuck, a bunch of vacuums in an acrylic box. You know what I mean? Like, and that, I mean, that's even beyond Warhol. So what is that experience like of bringing people to your art? How do people get introduced, to your art?
Oh wow, so many ways. It started mostly with Instagram. Like once I got the courage to start posting my stuff, and like people responded really well to it, and yeah, like I had like a couple of my early experiences on Instagram where like this band in San Francisco had me do their album cover,
Oh,
and I was like,
nice.
it was crazy because I was like taking a drawing class. It was like a community college drawing class, and I was just like screwing around and like I don't know. I finally got the confidence to share my stuff, and yeah, they hired me to do their album cover on there, and that was really cool. And then from there, it just keeps going, and it's like I don't know. They post it, and then somebody else sees it, and this and that. But then from there, it's like gallery shows, and it's just I don't know, taking every opportunity and going with it, and not thinking about things like, oh, this isn't me, or I'm not gonna do that. It's like that's lame. Like it's about like actually putting yourself out there and getting in the scene and meeting people. But yeah,
I,
that's the best thing I've
mhm.
gotten it out there was Instagram was where it started.
Oh, that is great. The especially, not that there's anything wrong with barely wearing any clothes and getting famous on Instagram. People should do what they want to do for sure.
Yeah,
Not,
I know that myself.
I should wear plenty of clothes, by the way, if I'm on Instagram. But
You have so many clothes on. It's so hot, like
I
literally.
no, I know, and
Literally.
I usually I take the hat off, and I actually can because it's actually getting warm.
There we go.
But now I'm going to have the lines on my face. But it's so cold, and I was saying before you got here that gas has gotten so expensive. I'm like, we keep the house pretty chilly here, and but now that nice wool hat, I'm all warmed up. But the first of all, awesome that Instagram exists, but also the word of mouth, right? I mean, one person to one person. It doesn't matter if you're selling shoes, cars, or paintings. Word of mouth is a huge way,
Totally.
to do it too. I would imagine that's been big. How long, just to give us a little bit of a scale, how long from when you sold that first painting till today? Now we'll know that you're 5, so we're not outing you on your age if you don't want to, but
Yeah, no, oh no, I'm 32, so
gosh, you just got the shrink wrap off a couple of years ago.
I know, right? I don't know. What year was it? What year was that? I don't know. It's been like so crazy ever since I started. Well, I know I started full time professionally in 2020, May of 2020, because of COVID hit
Okay.
and everyone was wanting paintings. So
And it
I
gave you the
started like,
opportunity.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was like so busy. It was crazy. I was like, bye. I'm gonna go do my own thing. But yeah, that's when I was first actually full time, like on my own. But when I sold my first, when was that? Actually, I can check on my Instagram. Let me look. Stand by. You keep chatting, and I'll.
No worries. I like that jacket too. I was trying to see what the scenes were on there.
Oh yeah. So this is. You see that?
Oh yeah. Oh, is that something you did?
Yeah, it's a girl taking a photo. It's I haven't finished it yet, really, but I kind of like the minimalist.
Yeah, that's cool.
Thank
That's
you.
very
I'm just
cool.
like messing around with a Target
Yeah.
jacket.
Well, I like that there's that pinkish orange, whatever that color is on there on the pocket. Um, yeah, that's very evocative of some of the colors I use for some of the stuff I do that are kind of 80s ish.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah. It's
that
definitely an '80s vibe.
yeah, that's a very like kind of coral color you get down in Miami, and you got in the scene in the 80s. That color.
Yeah, Miami Vice.
At 100% Miami Vice when I do my little makeovers, which eventually, God, if NFTs are still around, we're gonna do our NFT around that. But it's a fundraiser for a movie actually that we'd like to make.
Oh, that's cool. What kind of
Yeah.
movie?
Well, so my creative partner and really good friend Dania Denise, who's a very up and coming like indie filmmaker and actress for about 20 years in California, she has this alternate personality character that her name is Lola Fox, and she literally models under this alternate person named Lola Fox because Dania is like former Miss USA Petite, and I think her her modeling style is kind of avant-garde and, more, I don't know, highbrow, if we could say that.
Ooh.
But yeah, but Ms. Fox is a little street, a little hood, a little, a little
Ooh.
edgy. And
That's nice.
so she gets paid, to model as somebody in this other persona, which is hilarious because that's what Dania is always about, is finding other ways to bring in income based on the things that she could do. So when I said to her, when I was really into NFTs before everything collapsed, I said, "Hey, let's make you an NFT." I don't know what that means, but let me explain to you what NFTs are. And as I'm explaining to her what NFTs are, she says, "Well, why don't we make Lana Fox the NFT?" And I'm like, "Oh, cool." And then I'm like, "Wait, have you written a screenplay for that character?" And she's like, "No, but we can." And so then we kind of sussed out a little rough idea of what that movie would be like. And one way or another, I want to fund, I want to get the money to make that movie. So we had this plan for this NFT, which I still probably will do we'll do in one way, shape, or form. But I was doing these, and I hear I'm talking about myself, but I was doing
Well,
these.
I asked, so there you go.
I was doing these, what I call profile picture just makeovers for people. Like, and I was using this very 80s thing. I mean, I can draw and that kind of stuff. I'm not an artist on that level by any means, but I was able to use my pen tablet and, some programs and stuff and kind of make these pretty neat 80s looking. I think my Twitter has the one that I use for myself on it right now, but these kind of 80s looking images for people. And so what we were going to do with her character.
My
What's
alarm
that?
went off again. It's going
Oh,
crazy.
oh,
I don't
all
want
right.
to.
We're
I don't
back.
want to exit out of the app.
Yes. No, we don't want to do that. So long story short, basically we were going to make like 5 panels of this transition of her going from, like, the first one, she's like maybe putting on some makeup. I can never remember what the second panel is. The third panel is her in some one of them's like she's in some curlers and that kind of stuff. Then we've got like the third panel where it's like her foot going into a shoe, and then the fourth panel is a very tight shot of this dress that I'm gonna have commissioned. I finally found somebody to do something, and probably it's kind of a risque, sexy shot. And then the last shot is a reveal of her. Maybe like it's in a studio, but it's kind of have an 80s feel with a kind of a 50s vibe of equipment. And it's going to be a big production, high glossy, magazine shot, maybe from like the 80s or something, right?
Yeah.
And then that kind of tells that story, but then you got the backstory of her going from the street, to becoming a big 80s, modeling star. And what's hilarious is I have interacted a little bit with, and I definitely have friends online, in the business that I know better. This person is by no means a friend, and I would love to get her involved. And I actually have become kind of online friends with Morgan Fairchild, but
Is that you gonna say Morgan Freeman?
oh yeah, no, Morgan Fairchild, that blonde from the 80s, but Paulina Porskova, who was a huge model in the 80s. So I'm like, oh, that would be cool if we could get her to come and be a part of that movie. But so we're going to try to raise money for that. Is that some mushroom lip gloss?
I was doing like a shout out to my friend who gave this to me. So it's a secret message, but yeah,
I
it's
like it.
mushroom lip gloss.
I like it. So that is we're going to take the photos. We need to make I knew Dania was onto something good when she said we're going to show her foot, because I'm like, oh god, that'll go to the foot fetish people. That one will make the most money, and
Yeah.
we're going to have a limited run of the shoes. We're going to have a limited run of the shoes made. We're going to have a makeup line for the character as well. So I've been trying to put all that stuff together, but it's been a little busy as my monitor decides to go out. Now, don't do that to
Oh
me.
no, not the
No,
monitor.
I think I need a different HDMI cable. But so you said you were talking a little bit about galleries, and I'm curious because you talked a little bit about critics too, and since you've been doing this full time for just now, maybe going on 3 years or so, what what have you kind of learned about the larger art market and art world in terms of maybe where or how do you want to kind of put your art out there? And I think of that because I have a friend, Tim Olson, who is a painter. He's actually an amazing photographer, a phenomenal photographer, and he started painting like a decade and a half ago. And he's kind of they moved to Dubuque, Iowa, from Chicago because his wife got a job, there, and so he kind of became a big fish in a small pond. And so he's in some regional museums and stuff. I've got one of his paintings in my living room, and I'm like, dude, I call it, once in a while, I'm like, dude, what's that thing worth yet? Can I sell that? Can I sell that thing and retire?
Yeah,
And
for sure.
get your butt in another museum, man. I need some money. But but what where do you see going forward? Like what's on the plan?
I mean, for right now, I have a bunch of projects I'm working on that are like commissions and other things. I'm like, I can't really talk about NDA wise, but
Sure.
I for the galleries for me they're always awesome. I love gallery shows. It's always such a pleasure and an honor to be in a gallery, but that's never something I've ever focused on. Um, it's something like because they take like 30 to 60% of your
Good
earnings.
God, yeah. That's when somebody wants to buy your painting. Like, "Psst, wait till it's over. Wait
I
till
know,
it's over."
right? I'll make the same thing like right now.
Yeah, right. I got another one just like it in the trunk.
And I'm like so grateful for galleries for like I mean I've gotten so much exposure and met so many collectors and other artists like through gallery shows, and I've never seen that as like a bad opportunity. It's more of a marketing push for me though.
There you go. There
Something
you
that I
go.
see as it's not necessary. And so many people see galleries as that's like when you made it, you got into a gallery, like you like,
Right.
congratulations. Like people were congratulating me like on my first gallery show, like, wow, like so cool. You're in a gallery. And I was like, I guess like I always thought it was so cool too, but like now it's not, it's kind of lost its like glitz and
Shine,
glam.
it's
But that's
patina.
not
Yeah.
like there's so much more to being an artist than being in a gallery. Like it's it's just
Well,
it's another plus. It's just like the icing.
right. But I think that's a nice transition to let's talk about, because it sounds like you're doing murals, and I have two friends that are doing murals, and number one, talk about big and the price. You can charge a hell of a lot more money for a
Yeah, for the
mural.
simplest things. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, murals have
Not that it's
definitely
all about money, but now,
well,
yeah,
it's a lot about money because
yeah, because you need it,
it's
right?
not like the most money, but like it's about keeping your lights on and sustaining your practice. I feel like it's
Right,
all about you have to do what you have to do to be able to practice your fine art. That's the end goal. So if
right.
you have to like do a mural that's not in your style, that's something like you're doing a mural at Subway or something like that's not something that you're like, oh, this is like my beautiful fine art. Like you're painting
Right.
a crab on a
Well,
wall.
Hillary, you can sign them Revolution McInnes, and that way they'll never know it's you.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of those murals I don't sign, I don't promote. It's like it's something that I put
Right,
in like whatever app I'm using to get leads. It's not something
right,
that I'm
right,
like
right. I got 50
I'm
sandwiches
behind
for
it.
the one
Yeah,
sandwich a week for the
yeah,
next 52 weeks.
yes, exactly. Oh man, that's so funny. But yeah, no, it's like it's another way to keep the practice going. But I like to do murals in my style too. So it's just
Sure.
you do what you have to be able to continue like growing as your own artist.
Well, there is, again, because I know Jenny, I know she definitely has this unique painting style, but then, she does do a lot of murals, and I see her when I watch her Instagram, she's traveling around and stuff. But the mural market, like you said, is, it can be inside of a Subway. It can be inside of a new office building complex or even a mural for a new company, right? I mean, there
Yeah.
are just so many places, people think of, well, just some kind of mural on the outside of a viaduct, a bridge or something in Cleveland. But no, I mean, there are so many places
So
that you
many.
can do murals.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's such a cool way to enhance your space. Like having a mural on your wall is just like it just adds so much. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, private commissions even, there are people that will commission people, to do a mural, right in their house. And I think you probably
yeah,
have a
I've
much
done
better
tons of
chance of,
those. Yeah,
have you
I've
done
done
that?
tons of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, in San Francisco, I did a lot of those. I did like a jungle scene in somebody's like dining room. I was like, you were really good. You want your dining room to be a jungle in
Because
my
Elvis
style?
had his jungle room, but he didn't eat in there, I don't think. So
Okay. Welcome to the jungle, baby.
I like that. A jungle scene. What is the without obviously naming anybody, but what yeah, I don't want to what was the most interesting, we'll say, mural for you to do?
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, what? No, no worries. What was the most interesting mural? Like, what one
Ooh,
have you had the most fun doing, do you think?
okay, so I had so much fun at I did a mural in San Francisco that was in Trans Bay Park, which was like an old bus station, and I was with a bunch of friends, and we just it was wouldn't say it was really really hard work, but it was really fun. We were out in the sun painting on the ground, which was unique, which I actually ended up having to do again at a mural at a tech company. We painted the ground, which is super hard on your body. Like you don't realize spending hours on the
Oh, the
ground because
position.
your body is like, it's just not ideal. But that was really cool to see the end result, and go and see the whole city just come and hang out there. It's right by Salesforce,
Okay.
in downtown San Francisco. That was
Oh,
like
sweet.
that
Well,
was like one of my
next time I'm out
favorite
there,
moments.
yeah, I want to see that. I would imagine even doing a mural on the ground, it would seem like you would have to kind of make some kind of one, just the adjustment of you're used to painting, vertically, and then
Mhm.
even the way that a scene needs to look when you've got to realize that people are looking at it, like at
Oh
that
yeah,
kind of angle. You've got to make some kind of adjustments even in the way that you do the visual itself,
totally.
right?
Yes, we were making up crazy. Like you don't realize that these every time you get on a mural job, it's like it's a bunch of professionals, yeah, but like every job is different. Every like, surface is different. You have to adapt, and people you have to make your own tools. You have to like even at this other tech company mural, it was like you're just always adapting to your surroundings, and you're like the craziest things. We had to do these. We made giant protractors basically out of string and like because we had to get around these trees, you know.
Uh-huh.
So that's how
Uh-huh.
we traced out these circles. Was like we had a piece of string and then like the chalk at the end of the string, like
Oh,
just
so like a compass. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
compass. So we were
Yes,
like
yes.
making our own tools and doing our like you just because we're looking at the ground like, huh, we have a lot of space here. How are we supposed to figure this out? Like, how are we gonna?
Well, but that's again right. It's forcing you to think, which is going to make it memorable as well. And just as a side note for people, any of those the reason those aliens, quote unquote, can make those perfect circles in a field somewhere is because just a regular human makes one of those compasses with a stick, and a piece of string, and they just draw out a circle in the field of corn. But it's not that hard to do. But it sounds like you do a lot of stuff in San Francisco, which is very cool. It sounds like you kind of have an art home there as well as Cleveland.
Oh yeah, I definitely have a community there, and in Oakland and LA is. I actually have like recently been doing a lot of commissions for LA clients, which is cool. I like to have a little home base in every city. So
Oh, I really like that. I really like that. I know I have not been able to get out that way as much as much as I've wanted to. But of course, we got a big city here. You can come do a mural here and we can have coffee or
Oh
something.
yeah,
You
I
know
have
what I
so
mean?
many collectors in Chicago. I have like, well, not so many. That sounded so braggy. I have like, but I have a bunch of friends in Chicago. I love Chicago. I actually have one collector there has like 7 or 8 pieces of mine. Like his whole wall is all my work. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, I wanna go hang out there.
Well, anytime would love to spend some time. I'm hoping one of these days, of course, I would prefer it we're in LA, but one of these days I can have maybe rent a studio space, where I actually have a place where we could sit and talk live in front of each other,
Oh, that'd be so cool. I would love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. That's because whenever I see one of these shows in my head, even though I was going to complain a bit to Fireside that they still haven't given me the ability to use my green screen yet. That I always envision this as, just you and I sitting across from each other in
Right,
my
yeah.
mind as because I don't really have to plan out the show, right? I'm a popcorn kind of squirrely kind of question thing, but I still want to know my artist and the person that I'm talking to. So but I have this, it's almost like in my head, I'm sitting in a studio with, kind of a black background and, just a couple of nice chairs and we're just hanging out, having a conversation,
I feel like
So,
it's more natural too, because like you're not really like, yeah, we can see each other, but it's different when you're actually in the
oh, we
room.
can't catch the vibe as much as we
Yeah.
do. We can't. And the truth is, yeah. And then because you and I think we'd have a fun time if we were hanging out like
Oh
that. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
The
You get
devil's
to,
lettuce.
oh yeah, we'll have a bin with lots of samples, but because it's legal here too, of course. But
Mushrooms are legal here now,
did
so
they do mushrooms in Ohio?
no, in
Wow.
Denver,
Oh, you're
not
in Denver. Oh my God, everything's legal there. I'm sorry. Why do
yeah,
I keep
yeah,
thinking
like
Cleveland? Oh, because you're from Cleveland originally. Yeah. Okay, so Denver. Yeah. See, my head was in the wrong place. Well, mushrooms would be great, and I think we will probably see those in Illinois because Illinois is all about making profit for the state. But I keep once in a while sending a tweet to our governor here. I'm like, dude, okay, the dispensaries, they're way too expensive, which is why I still have a drug dealer. And the other
doesn't
reason,
say
I don't
that.
say that, but the other reason is that my drug dealer delivers, and your dispensaries don't. So I would be willing to go through the dispensary and the prices will come down, I think, because we're going to have more opening up. But fuck, charge me $20 to deliver. Why do I have to drag my ass to the dispensary? You should just be able to order it online. I mean, let's go one step further. It's kind of ridiculous. And I think in California they can deliver. I don't know that for sure, but I think they can.
I've never had it delivered there, but
Yeah, that may just be like my guy that pretends he's a oh wait, I better
oh
not
yeah,
say
he's
too
like
much.
yeah,
Yeah. 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 Well,
my
I don't like
grandma's watching.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, that would be great. Well, good. That when I can make that happen, that'll definitely be, that'll definitely be fun. When you are not painting, what do you like to do? What really gets Hillary, what makes you happy with all this massive amount of money that you're putting in the bank,
Oh, yeah, so much money. I gave them my money and then just I don't
You just
know.
roll around in it, right? There's just so much.
Yeah, there's so much of it. I sleep and what do I do when I'm not painting? I go to concerts. I love
Oh,
music.
nice. Right. Sounds like you like music a lot, right?
Yeah, I love music. The most recent show that I was super impressed with was Marcus Mumford. He just released a solo album, and I saw
Is
him.
this from the band Mumford and Sons? Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
the
I'm like,
father.
can't be two good Mumfords that are good in music in this world. That's just too much of a coincidence.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's so good. That was like had an amazing experience at that show. But yeah, I love to go to concerts. I don't know. I like to do yoga, run, hang out with friends. I don't know. I don't really do much but paint. Like if I'm not painting, I'm like painting like I'll leave it at that. We're not allowed to say what it is, but other sorts of painting.
Well, wait, you have to DM me. No, well, but I think that though I do have to do other things. If I could just do this and get paid well enough for it, I mean, and this is more than just the interview because it's meeting the people and all that stuff too, which I love, but it's what you love to do. And so when you love what you do, it's not really work. You know what I mean? It's just part of your life. People say to me, I said, well, today was, really busy, but it was great that it was busy because I'm having fun. You know what I mean? If it's a
Yeah.
busy day, I'm doing what I like.
Yeah, well, I mean that kind of goes away. I mean, I love it, but it's there are certain things like certain pieces that I love to do, but it definitely like it all evens out. But it is such a blessing to be able to do what I genuinely love. But
Right.
there is there it isn't always like every day like woo I get to color.
Right. Or I have to do something in a style or something that I may not be thrilled to do. I know I was speaking to someone not that long ago and we were talking about writer's block, or painter's block or anything like that. And it's pretty funny because there are people, especially if, you've been isolated maybe, that write all the time. Like, what, writer's block? I never even heard of that. You know what I mean? I just write. Do you pretty much, are you pretty much able to just jump up and start to paint, or do you have to really get into the mood?
No, I have to a lot of times I do have to force it because it is like when I take on too many jobs at once, I become overwhelmed with the timeline of it, which is actually like it's counterintuitive. Like you're not supposed to as an artist, like art, it's not linear. It's not something that you have a schedule. But when I start to think about like, oh, this should be done, this has to be done by like, for example, right now I have two commissions that are supposed to be out in LA by the 22nd.
Oh,
So in my mind, I'm not creating like in the sense of like, oh, there's no time, no space, whatever. Like I'm thinking like this needs to be done by this point, which totally takes away from creativity. So I'm working on figuring out a balance between scheduling and creativity because it's not a good alignment. So it's like
it is tough to
it's
have a
hard to do
deadline,
that.
right? When you have to have a
Yeah.
deadline for creativity.
Yeah, it's hard because like there's pressure on that and the pressure kind of takes away from it. So and my best pieces come when there's no pressure, and that's the pieces that people are like, oh, I want a piece from you, and then it's like, well, when's it
Uh,
going to be here?
yeah,
You know, like,
3 weeks to 3 years. I'm not
yeah,
exactly
like
sure.
three weeks to
Give
maybe
me
when I'm
50% up front, and well, it'll get there when it gets there.
yeah, and I have to force myself to finish things because it's like, okay, you gotta put the paintbrush down because this is like insane. Like it's never gonna be exactly how you want it to be. It's you gotta just let it
Right.
go.
Ah, right. I like that too. Right. It's like when are you done? Sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
never.
Never.
I should hire somebody to come like slap the paintbrush out of my hand.
Oh, that is very much like my plan if I ever have like Oprah money, to hire a big old strong like German guy named Hans. And if I don't exercise or eat right, he's allowed just to beat the crap out of me. You know what I mean? Like, and I
Yeah,
don't
for
want,
sure.
I have very sensitive, I don't want anybody to hit me. So, so I'd be like really good, because Hans gets paid really good money to make sure I stay in line. But I get that too, that is, and I think in a lot of art forms, from film to music to videos is like, it can be very tough for the artist to be like, okay, this is done. You know, I'm
Yeah,
ready to walk away from it.
and it's
Yeah.
weird because it's gotten worse as I've actually improved at art. Like, it's weird. Like I used to be like, oh, this is amazing. Like, guys, I drew a hand, and now it's like, oh, it must be. This isn't good enough. But I mean, I guess it's good in the long run that I'm challenging myself. But it's still kind
Yeah.
of a struggle.
It is good that you've challenged yourself. And I no idea if this is true or not. This is only observational. But when you look at a Picasso, and Picasso was properly, educated in painting, formally educated in painting. So when you look at his work that comes out of art school, or when he's at just beginning, his stuff is as good in a lot of ways, I think, as like, as a Van Ryn or something. I mean, he knows lighting, he knows texture, he knows color, he knows form, he knows all these things. And then he had to kind of unlearn, in my mind, all of that art school stuff that he needed that information to become Picasso, but he had to throw all that out the window in a lot of ways to end up doing, what he does. And I think for a lot of artists, when you've said that you've grown as a portraitist, a portrait artist, or a muralist, have you, what are some of the kind of tangible things that you can quantify for us, how your work has changed, how it might look different, and that sort of thing? And everybody should look at your art online on Instagram. I've got that down there in the little fortune cookie.
Yeah, check it out. That's a great question. And I don't like, so with the Picasso thing, I feel like, I don't think he necessarily threw all those things away, but I think he incorporated what he knew to make something different, which is like creating a new avenue, like almost like a new, something that makes him so different from everyone else, but still using the same concepts of contrast, of structure,
Still needed that
how to
stuff, huh?
how to be appealing to the eye. Like there are certain things that you take with you, but the way that he had his own voice
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
what makes it true iconic artist. Somebody that's like you remember them forever because they created something new that you've never seen before that also makes you feel something. And that's what my next step is like I want to create something different, like a new style that no one's ever seen before. So that's what I'm moving into, from like learning how to, how to paint an eyeball, like how do I do that? And then you kind of like make up your own tricks along the way. So yeah, I think that it's just taking what I know and using that to make something different and cool and something that's important to other people.
I love that. Especially your take on Picasso, and then your own take on your own transitions and your growth. Because again, one of the things I love about this is I learn, like when I had Patrick Gallagher on a couple of weeks ago, I learned a lot more about acting than I
Yeah,
than
who?
his name is Patrick Gallagher. He was on in he's on a show right now on Paramount. He's a character actor. You'd know his face. He was on Glee as like some kind of detective. He was Attila the Hun in Night at the Museum. He was in Master and Commander, that epic Peter Weir movie. Like that was his first film. So and we
Oh
really
yeah,
got
I
it.
know who this guy is. I know who he is.
Patrick. Well, actually, did I say Peter? I meant Patrick Gallagher,
Patrick,
actually.
yeah, Patrick.
Yeah. And he's half Hawaiian, half Chinese, just a
Was this
great
in
character.
Sideways?
Yes, he was. He was. Yeah, he was.
Cool.
Yeah. So we learned, I learned so much more about acting because of course when I was in film school, I took the acting classes, so I would know more, about acting, as a director, because everybody goes to film school wants to be a director, of course. But that is kind of like everybody in baseball at the professional level was a pitcher when they were a kid because they were the best player and they make them the pitcher. But people quickly learned that not everybody could be a director. And in my case at film school, I was making more money than my teachers were shooting, doing videography, cinematography. So I was kind of silly. I should have probably finished up my degree, but anyway, and I just went out and started working and shooting commercials and stuff like that. But I love that we can kind of get that idea of where you've gone, where you are, and then where you want to go, because you said it right. To get to that next level, it's going to be about innovation now, right? It's going to be about what is, Hillary, what is your work? How are you known, for that work? And yet you still have to play in a field of light, color, and, and a canvas or something, right? I mean, you know what I mean? It's, you still have kind of the same, and obviously you can mix that up, but you still have the same basic ingredients, but then the challenge is to do something different. And
Right.
that's really cool that's something you're actively working on doing.
Yeah, totally. I want to like, I just want, that's the next level. I want to like, I don't know. I want to make something that no one's seen before, that they want to like, that changes their life or changes their outlook on something, or I don't know. It takes a lot of thinking though, because you sit there like, what does matter to me? Like, what can I do to make something impactful?
Well, yeah, and that is cool too because I've loved how you've mentioned it more than once. You know, the feeling that it evokes in the viewer as well, the commissioned
Oh,
person
yeah,
or the
that's my
viewer.
main goal for sure. Is like, yeah, it comes from me, but I want it to connect like with other people. That's the goal, is to speak to people.
Yeah, there's a painting by Franz Klein that is at the Whitney, and it is called Mahoning because he named a series of paintings after some counties in Pennsylvania. I'm guessing maybe he was from that part of the world, maybe originally, but or discovered Pennsylvania because I don't know how Franz Klein really is in terms of being German or not. But this painting Mahoning, which I love, and I'd liked it. I'd seen it in catalogs and books or whatever, and so I stood in front of that painting for probably 2.5 hours and just took myself in it, moved around it, looked from the outside in. I mean, I really soaked up what my feelings were in that painting, and it was awesome. And I've done that ostensibly in, I've stood at least probably an hour in front of every Picasso east of the Mississippi, more or less, and really like being able to get into it, even with who did the drip paintings,
Pollock.
Pollock, right? You know, I mean, being able to stand in front of these pieces of great artwork and view them not on Instagram, but the depth and the grandeur and the scope of things, even being in front of a Jenny Holzer, neon piece or something like that, where you see it out in public, you see it displayed within the museum. These things take on such a different life when you're in front of them, and
Oh
that
yeah.
is to me, yeah, so much what the beauty of art is. I put a little tweet out there the other day. Why on earth would anybody who can fold space want to visit? Why would anybody who can fold space want to visit Earth? And I was interested, as to what some of the people's responses were. But to me, if beings that could literally fold space, because that's what you would have to do to be able to come here, the only way that they would probably come here, they wouldn't come here for any of the reasons that the movies do, because they're gods. They can fold space. Well, what would a god want? A god would want to know our art. They would want to know our music, right? Who is their equivalent of Bach,
Yeah.
Beethoven, Holzer, who, you know what I mean? Who's their equivalent of these things, or their equivalent of what they enjoy? That's what I would seek the universe doing if I could have a magical ship and go to different places, or even just around the world. That's why I love going to museums all over, right? To just see what is it about the human construct that just think how, I mean, the cave paintings at Latrobe and even the ones older in Spain. I mean, these people who are pretty much just like us, 50,000 years ago, 400,000 years ago, these different time periods, they don't have freaking flashlights. They've got to take, fire down deep into these caves, deep enough that it's not going to degrade. And then they've got to come up with pigments and textures and tell these stories on these walls. Why? Right? I mean, are they doing it? You're not doing it to give a message to the whole world, because you're doing it in a cave deep down somewhere. You've got a desire. Who knows what that desire is? But that human desire, even when you see the petroglyphs in I've seen them in New Mexico, that human desire to put something down for other people to see, that's in us. It's been in us for tens, if not hundreds of thousands of years.
Yeah, I think it's like one of the most human instincts is to want to be seen and heard and accepted. And I think like that's like one of the main reasons why is like we want to like communicate with somebody and have them hear us, and that's just like that creates a bond. And I think that's there's a lot to be said about that with art. I think, and the personality of artists. I think that a lot of artists are super empathetic, and they want to be heard, like especially more than maybe I know everyone does, but I feel like it's like a definite trait of artists that they want to resonate with people and connect. So
Yeah, I think so. Even if you're very introverted, that doesn't really matter. It's that getting that expression out there, because I will agree. And I've got a 9-year-old, and I see his very empathetic heart, and I'm like, oh, dude, that's great, but it's hard. You know what I mean? It's really hard to have that yearning and that connection, that need for it, to navigate those waters without it even, being a problem with other people around you sometimes.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
so it's great. And that actually makes me, realize too, I should talk to him about it too. So it's great to have that outlet, put something in a petroglyph, go down deep into a cave and, and know it's down there. Take your friends down there. Can you imagine taking your friend? Hey, let's go down to the caves and look at my work,
Yeah, right.
make yourself a
Well,
torch.
yeah, it's like, yeah, it's a metaphor though in a way. Like
Yeah.
I you know, you put it down there, even if no one's gonna see it. Sometimes it feels good to just get it out, know it's there. Like that makes it real
I
into
love
my
that. Right, right, right. Yeah. Well, putting them down there definitely was going to have to.
yeah.
You're going to have to know it's real. What is the if people want to see your work, obviously they can see it on Instagram. This thing will live. We'll put this out here in a bunch of different ways and formats. And one of these days, I'm going to get these things, translated over, to be a podcast. But I'm guessing the best way to get a hold of you is on Instagram. And do you have? Are you doing? I know you said you couldn't talk about it necessarily, but if you have a list or something, you get me some info of like somewhere
Oh
where
yeah.
your murals and stuff are. I'll put that out in some tweets and stuff with this
Okay.
show.
Yeah, and I'll have to talk to some of my old bosses and see if like the NDA is still, because these companies, you don't want to
Yeah.
get like taken
Right.
away
Right. Well,
with.
anything, the street work that are public, even, that kind
Oh
of
no,
stuff
the
too.
Transbay Park one is totally fine.
Yeah.
Others are like inside of tech buildings that.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's, again, my friend Dania is a chalk artist, in that, she kind of stumbled upon that, and she's got pieces at Google and at Netflix and
Oh,
stuff like
cool.
that. So, um,
Imagine that.
shocker, right? Ah, yes, 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 yes. I also love the fact that, hey, look, at least, those folks are employing some people, to do some art on their campuses, which is really, really neat. Are you going to escape out down into LA and stuff this winter a little bit to get away from the snowy
Uh,
season?
well, I'll be going back to Cleveland for a little bit. I want to go to LA. I just don't know like when. I don't know. I will at some point
Well,
once
calling all LA people that need a mural, come on,
yeah.
give her a commission down there.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, it'd be good to see some friends over there and go check out Melrose and see all my favorite sushi spots and whatnot. So yeah,
Yes.
probably at some point this winter. But I don't know. The winter just flies by because I'll be in my studio working, and all of a sudden it's like, oh,
Kind of not. Yeah, it's kind of easy to do, right? Be in the studio all winter. And I do want to say, I need to get the name of it. I can look it up, but my favorite tacos in the world are like this orange colored taco truck in downtown LA, and I think it's orange colored because it uses this orange colored hot sauce. You can buy it. I can't remember the name of it, but I mean,
oh my gosh, I
damn
need
best
to
tacos
eat
on the.
some food. I'm so hungry.
Well, we can definitely wrap it up. Let's not make it a year before you're on
Oh yeah,
again.
we got to do this again soon.
Yes, we do. And then also we have a show that should premiere tomorrow night. I've been a little busy trying to and haven't been able to line up a lot of guests, but it's called so far this week in the Chai. It's technically a show about Chicago, but we're going to have stories from L.A., New York, all these different places, and we're going to do some public affairs stuff. We're going to do some politics and stuff too. So definitely have you pop over there for a segment or something at some point would be fun. But
That'd
yeah,
be so
definitely
cool.
definitely want to do this again as well, and just wish you the best the holidays. So excited to make a connection with you, get to see you again, see your work grow, and find out the directions you're going, because now you've spoken it to the world.
Mhm.
So we're gonna see some new things from you, which is really exciting. And I just have to say that I am so grateful to be able to get a chance to talk to somebody who's a working artist. You're making it, doing your art, and no matter what the world might see or where you go or where your art goes after you're, back into the infinite of the universe, that's a big deal that you're making it as an artist. And that's really cool. And that's something to be proud of, in my opinion, that you're able to do that.
Thank you. That's awesome to hear that. It's I really appreciate it. It's been yeah, it's always like a struggle, but it's worth it for sure.
Yeah, indeed, and it is worth it for the folks that have 7 of your paintings, on their wall. Right, there are people all over the country, maybe even the world, that look at something that you created. That's pretty damn cool.
That's true. I always forget about that. I'm like, there are people out there that have have my pieces and they
They're
love
like
them.
watching me from afar.
Yeah, I know. It's like it's weird. It's like a piece of you is in like all these homes. It's just it's a cool thing.
It is neat, and that you leave beautiful pieces of you around is cool as well. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I dig that, and yeah, well, we'll definitely stay in touch, and hopefully our paths can cross in different places. But really get yourself something delicious to eat,
I
and
know, yeah. So I just made me so hungry with that taco comment. I was like,
I've been to Denver many times, but food doesn't come to mind in Denver, off
no,
the
those are
top of my.
good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, some of the worst pizza I've had. Oh, actually,
What are they even doing? Like I don't even know how you can mess up pizza, but Denver does it. Like
they
I
do.
don't eat
Yeah,
pizza anymore because it's
right.
gross here.
They do, and the worst. Hopefully, they're not in business anymore. I can't imagine they are. But there was this. Okay, say when I go to a little town, we're on vacation or business or whatever. You ask the front desk clerk or whatever. "Yeah, what's the best?" Pizza place. What's the best? And I'll tell you what, in Dayton, Ohio, it's like a Boboli crust with like tomato paste. Like it
Oh,
just
I
there's.
don't know Dayton at all.
Yeah,
But
well, I picked out a name, but you know what I mean. But
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, yeah, I
but
feel
the and I'm like, oh my god, this is the best pizza. Like this is horrible. What do you people go get a real pizza? But I
yeah.
asked the clerk or called down. Okay, what everybody's in the mood on the for Italian tonight. What's the best Italian restaurant you got in town? And they're like, I mean, they raved. I'm not kidding. For 5 minutes about this Italian chef, like he was Italian and his wife. They told me the whole story. I
Maybe
got there.
Little Caesar.
Yeah, I got there and it was the worst food I've like ever had in my life in Pagosa Springs, Colorado. We felt
Oh,
bad. It was so bad.
it
You know what I
goes.
mean? Like we were
I do as
embarrassed.
well.
Yeah, and the guy was Italian, but he couldn't cook.
That's
It was terrible. So I feel for you. But so get something as delicious as you can in Denver, and
Thank
um,
you.
and we'll look forward to talking to you again. This was a
Yeah.
blast, and loved learning, and so glad that we got connected again, and we'll connect again real soon. Anything else you want to pitch, plug, or shout out there?
No, I don't think so.
No. All right. Well, that's
Buy a
okay.
painting from me, I'll make it real.
Exactly. Come on, drop some cash. Drop some cash. And I would say too, if you've got any folks, no matter where they are, anybody that you would like to, that, is also a painter or an artist or something that, you'd like to bring on or,
Oh yeah,
recommend,
yeah.
let me know. I'm always looking for good quality, people that have good work to talk to. So
Oh, yeah, I have lots of painter friends. Kate Samuels, Lemoore, Supreme. They would be fun.
sweet. Well, let's
Yeah,
talk. Let's talk.
yeah. Well, that would be super fun.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great because what, we just need more and more. It is. I may be a small fish on a giant planet, but you just never know who ends up watching these things, and people can make a lot of connections. So look forward to chatting with you again. Thank you so much. This was so fun.
Yeah. Thank you. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. My name is Revolution McKinnis. This has been Talk with Revolution. Join us tomorrow night for So Far This Week in the Chai, or somebody said the Shy, you know what I mean? It's Chicago. So, we'll say it however I want to say it. And we're going to have Dr. Ali Neitzel, and we're going to talk some Chicago stuff. We will have some of the candidates I'm hoping for mayor, but some of the candidates for alderperson coming up soon too. So Hillary, thanks again. We will see you soon.